Stacy. We're glad to have you. The next thing is I'm the outgoing mayor, and as the outgoing mayor, I'm going to read my outgoing statement. So goodbye, goodbye.
Don't you want to do the roll
What?
call and pledge of allegiance?
Oh, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Sorry.
You gotta, you know,
Yeah, okay, well. All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thanks. Yes, I know we're gonna do the roll call.
Councilmember Holland,
Here.
Councilmember DeGolia.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis,
here,
Vice Mayor Hawkins Manuelian, and Mayor Whitmer.
Here,
Thank you.
okay. So,
now your message.
okay, so now I do my outgoing statement. Okay, so first off, it's been a pleasure doing this. You know, I think every council member loves to be the mayor and have the responsibility of working closely with the vice mayor and working closely with the city staff on crafting the agendas and things like that. And this year was no different for me. So my statement is essentially goodbye, goodbye. No. First, I want to thank my terrific wife, Mary Beth, who's out there in the blue coat, for her understanding and support for all these years and for all the things that we jointly had to sacrifice due to having meetings, resident engagements, and meeting preparation work. Next, I want to thank all the residents and the council members for the honor and the confidence you placed in me in each of my terms over the last 13 years and for my third mayoral term. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you and represent you at the meetings and also working with other mayors this year and in our state and federal elected representatives when we're working on problems that perhaps they can either fund or help us with. Also, I'd like to give my thanks to our city manager, George Rodericks, and his staff, which many of them are here, for their hard work and constant preparation for us. Getting to meet and to know many of the residents at our events and neighborhood meetings was absolutely the best part of the year. And I hope our relationships continue as we face other issues in the coming year. To this end, I want to continue my office hours, which I have on Tuesday from 12:30 to 1:30. Anybody that wants to come in, please do so. We can talk about whatever you want, any issue you want, even if you just want to come to chat because you're lonely. No reservations are necessary. Looking back over the year, I had a lot of, we had a lot of accomplishments, but a high note that I took a lot of joy from was the opportunity that the library gave me to read to the children at the library. That's so much fun. Of course, I had to learn songs and how to do some dances. Some of you may have seen those at our 100th anniversary celebration, but it was great seeing the kids and participating in that. Building community involvement has been a key component of the council for my 13 years on the council, and I believe we took a great step forward this year, highlighting with all the people that came to our 100th anniversary celebration. While there was no real counting, we believe about 800 people showed up because the food ran out at 700 and there were still people coming. And, you know, with all those people there, we also were visited by our councilwoman, our congresswoman, our state senator, and our assemblyman, giving us a recognition and some small items to have up here, plaques and things like that to have up here in our city council. Next, our next largest resident activity was our National Night Out, which is the first Tuesday every August. If you haven't come, please go. They're a lot of fun. This year we had about 400 people. It keeps growing. It's a great way to meet your neighbors, the police department, ADAP, and our fire district. So again, if you are in town, then please come to that. The next key development was the expansion of the resident participation in meetings as well as correspondence. Primarily due to the housing element. And I'm sure many others, received over 450 emails and calls, of which I was happy to respond to all of them. And we had about 200 residents jammed into our late January meeting for discussion on the housing element, all complete with matching T-shirts at one of the sessions, that was great involvement from them. And that's some of the things that we've been trying to get across. Another key accomplishment during this term was the installation of the quad gates, which are now in place over Watkins Avenue. And they will allow us to have the extension of the quiet zone, which is a big relief to the people who are somewhere near the tracks. The council also passed a much called for gas leaf blower ban, but it also comes with a partial refund from the city for the purchase of a new electric one. So our residents are not going to be hurt by that. I was also happy to have the town restart the summer concert series and movies. We had 3 concerts and 2 movies over at the library. I expect that these will continue because they're so much fun, and they'll be expanded perhaps, so we could bring in more neighbors and residents. I also hope that we move some of these, if not all of them, to the park, which just received $1 million worth of improvements there. So also watch for more park improvements as we currently are planning an expansion of the playground and as we welcome pickleball at the park for a 6-month trial starting next month, I believe. Much anticipated opening of Mademoiselle Colette's was something that everybody always asked me when I was walking around town. That occurred just in time for our 100th year anniversary. If you have not visited it, please do so. And please schedule any meetings that you're having there or at our great library instead of going to other locations in other communities. Now we have a place that you can go to that's there. Other legislative activities completed by the council included a noise ordinance and frontage management ordinance. We also submitted a self-certified housing element, which the state sadly said, try again. And we've consumed a heck of a lot of time this year trying to get that done. Well, I'm greatly disappointed with that. It brought in these extra resident engagements so that we could, hear what they had to say. And I think actually we're going to have a pretty good housing element that everybody can live with. And it's really going to be something that we believe is going to get signed off, we hope will, and that will stave off any builder's remedies that may be incurring. So thank you very much for your input on this. There are many other key council achievements which I could list here, but obviously you don't want to hear them all. However, I do look forward to 2 key elements which I get questioned about on a regular basis. First is the renovation of the historic town train station, which is right out here. Everybody says, when's it going to open? When's the museum going to be there? That should be next year. Both Rick and Diana have been working very hard on that. And so hopefully that's going to be done very quickly. Finally, everybody cheer for that. I wish everybody either a happy holiday, a happy Hanukkah, or a blessed Christmas, whichever applies to you. Okay? And right now, the mayor's seat is vacant, and I would like to nominate Diana Hawkins Manwellen to be mayor next year. Anthony will take over any other nominations and manage the process moving forward. Sorry, I took some of your discussion. Thank you very much for listening to me. I've enjoyed it, and I'll enjoy it when I'm in whatever other seat that they put me in. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
So in line with that, I'll note that we don't need a second. We just need 3 affirmative votes if council. I should do that. If there are any other nominations, the floor is open. Seeing none, we can move forward. We can take a roll call vote. Councilmember Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia.
Yeah.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hawkins, and Councilmember Whitmer.
Yes,
Congratulations. We'll now move forward and seek nominations for the seat of vice mayor.
I'll nominate Elizabeth Lewis as vice mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll all go forward with a roll call. Councilmember Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia.
Yeah.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitmer,
Yep.
and Mayor Diana Hawkins Manwillian.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah, because I'm the next oldest.
Oh,
council member.
okay.
So now I sit here, and you sit over there, and she
Well-
sits here.
We
We'll,
have to Do it all do-si-do?
we'll need to do your oath of office.
Okay, that's fine. Leave your little pillow.
Yeah, if you'd like, you can come down or I can.
I'm taking my pillow with me.
Standing.
All right.
You can stand right up here.
The cake?
Yeah, I need to read it, so I'm not gonna get up. But if you two could please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
And I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
That's okay. Thin.
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
It's not that hard.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, can we do that now
I
or
didn't
later?
see the cake. No, that's great.
If you'd like, we can, you want to do the photo with everyone?
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Are you just changing the names or are you changing seats?
No, we're changing.
Oh, yeah, they're wiping me clear.
Alright.
So I'm right here.
So Mayor Hawkins, I'll assist with the next couple of steps if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I
please.
think-
So we, next in presentations, we have our new hire. Oh, please. Oh, I'm sorry, your introduction message. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, I want to
you
do,
have the thing. here.
yeah, I would
Make
like to
your
do,
statement.
yeah. I want to make a few statements. So first I would start by thanking Bill for your service and it's in your leadership through what was, ended up being pretty challenging, some of the issues we faced this year. So thank you for doing that. It's been a pleasure working with you.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed our meetings and everything. It's great. Thank you.
And Elizabeth, congratulations.
Thank
And
you
I
very
am,
much.
absolutely thrilled to have someone who knows what they're doing here to help. And I think between you and George and Anthony, you'll keep me on track with everything. And I'd like to thank all my fellow council members for giving me a chance to serve. So I really appreciate that. And as tradition, I'm going to say what my priorities for the year, but it's going to be extremely short. So I'm only going to list 5. There, of course, there are many. The number one priority I see for us going forward next year is to continue to engage the community in identifying housing solutions for Atherton and focusing on getting our housing elements certified by the state. So that should be number one. I'd like to see us explore options for workforce housing or the possibility of workforce housing and available town property like the Gilmore House. I would like to refocus the town's energy in supporting emergency preparedness and community resilience. In the last few years, we've seen an increased number of extreme weather incidences. We've had fire, we've had smoke, we've had floods, we've had power outages, you name it. We've had a lot of that. And I would like to see us focus our community on being ready and resilient. I'd also like to continue to improve communications with the community. To that end, I'd like to see us do a community-wide survey of interests and priorities. We haven't done that since 2013, I think. So I think it would be a good time to reach back out and understand directly from our residents what are their priorities and interests going forward. As Bill pointed out, we've had a number of amazing community events this year, and I obviously want to continue to do more events both here and in the park. And as always, I want to ensure transparency and fiscal responsibility as we adopt our balanced budget for 24-25. So again, thanks everyone for giving me a chance, and I look forward to working with everybody. Okay, so the next item is, I think we're introducing a new employee, right?
Right.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, residents. I'm Robert Ovadia, the Public Works Director, and I am pleased to introduce Will Burse, our new maintenance manager. He's been with us for just over 2 weeks and is getting his feet wet literally and figuratively in helping us maintain our facilities in our town. Will comes from the private sector, where he's spent over 20 years in various roles related to facilities maintenance, all the way from being a facilities technician, all the way up to being facilities manager. One of his stints was 5 years as the director of facilities at the PJCC in Foster City. And so they have a lot of, though it's not a town, they have a lot of similar needs, and when it comes to buildings and dealing with rental spaces and other things. And so we're really pleased to have him join us. Will, in addition to, working, he prioritizes his family. He's got a lovely wife and 4 children, one of which is actively playing basketball in junior high school. When he's not spending time with his family, he's, he enjoys riding motorcycles and woodworking. So really happy to have him aboard. And so just stand up for a second.
Welcome. Yes. We're glad you're here too. Yes. I know that Robert is very glad that you're here.
So I'd like to open up for public comments. Do we have any public comments?
There are no comments online. Should we read the message that we added to the bottom related to hate? Yep. So as instructed by council, we've added some language to our agendas. We put it on the footer, and I'm just going to read it. It's related to public comment. So the Town of Atherton Council, Committee, and Commission meetings are limited public forum, and all public comments must relate to something that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council or the committees. If comments do not relate to the subject matter jurisdiction of the council or committees, we will stop the comment and a warning may be provided. If the comment continues to be outside of the subject matter jurisdiction, the speaker will be stopped and we will move on to the next speaker. Speakers found in violation of this rule of procedure may be removed from the meeting. And this message that we've shared today will serve as that warning. It's also posted on our agenda and it was posted in the public chat. And I don't see any comments online, Mayor.
So now I'd like anyone to disclose any ex parte communications. Does anybody have any?
I have none.
Not about what's on the agenda.
Okay, department written reports. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?
No.
No? Boy, we're going fast here. Okay, so we're going to move now to the consent agenda, which is items 3 to 7. Approval of bills and claims, approval of minutes, the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend the Atherton Municipal Code, Chapter 8.08, Dead or Dangerous Trees. We have approval of professional service agreement with Capital Project Management for services associated with the Upper Atherton Channel Relining Project. And we have approval for acceptance of a one-time donation of to the police department for purchase of Motorola portable radios, and approval for the acceptance of $250,050 per year for 5 years donation, which would fund overtime, an annual all departments perishable skills training, and fund a nutritional support program as part of the police department's overall wellness program. So does anyone wish to pull any of these for discussion?
I do.
Elizabeth.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
So do I.
I'd like to pull for questions, item number 6, and I'd like to pull for discussion, item number 7.
Okay. And were those the same ones?
7 was the one I wanted to talk about.
So my questions, on number 6, if I may?
Please.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank staff for putting together the report, Robert, and all the information. But my questions are on table 6.2, the photos look quite dated. The last photos of the channel were taken, in 2013? My question is, do we not have any more recent photos of the existing conditions or even of last year? Because what's in the report and on the spreadsheets, are all old photos. 20 years old.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Years old, sorry.
That's okay. The exhibit was pulled directly from the drainage report documenting the needs at the time. And so it's just simply an excerpt of that. As part of the overall project, there's going to be an assessment of the entire stretch of the western part of that channel from
West of Alameda.
west of Alameda. There'll be an so we're hiring a project manager with this. That project manager is going to help us find a consultant to do an overall assessment of the channel as well as do the design work. And so with that, there's going to be more, we do have more up-to-date pictures based on our assessment following last year's storms. But as far as what we wanted to provide was the overall project objective and need as defined in the drainage plan update that was done.
So my other question is, what will the anticipated disruption be to residents that live along the channel in doing this report? Because I know some people have it right, in their backyard practically.
That is correct. And so at this point, I can't tell you how extensive it is and where the major portions of work will be located. The channel does run through private properties within an easement that the town and the Atherton Channel District have rights to for the purposes of maintaining the channel. We will have to work directly with the residents with regards to points of access, advise them of construction activities. And so we anticipate that the activities will be extensive, The council will have an opportunity to review the design and have conversations about that, as well as the outreach efforts as we get closer to determining the actual physical pieces of work.
So, my next question is, or clarification is that the $66,000 is just for,
Project management support.
it's not the work.
No.
Okay.
So they're going to help us release a request for proposals to find, to obtain professional services for the actual assessment and design.
Thank you. That's, so I'm fine with it.
Bill, you had some
Well, item number
Yeah.
7 was one. that
Hey, I
wanted
got
to
number
pull.
7 as well, so go ahead.
Should
Well,
I?
Mayor and council, before you go on to item number 7, I think you just pulled item 6 for questions,
That's right.
but item 7 was actually pulled for discussion.
Oh, that's right.
So you might want to approve.
I
the
thought it
balance
was
of the consent
opposite is what
agenda.
she said, George.
No, it was exactly what I said.
Okay,
'Cause
okay,
I had it
fine, no
written
problem.
down, And I read exactly what I wrote.
Okay, all right,
Right.
no problem. We can
Rick
do the
also
repeat.
asked-
I can throw the
I
repeat
move
flag.
approval of consent agenda items through item 6.
One
But,
through six.
but
I
before,
agree.
before you do that, you may want to make sure there's not any public comment.
Yes, are there any public comments on this?
On the consent account.
1 to 6, yeah.
There are none online and I see none in the room.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll second his motion.
okay.
okay. Should I call for a
Mhm.
vote?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Well,
We'll do a,
We do
we'll
a
do a roll call.
vote because we have
Oh.
somebody remote.
Got it, sorry.
Councilmember Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia, Councilmember Whitmer,
Yep,
Vice Mayor Lewis,
yes.
and Mayor.
Yes,
Thank you.
So do you want to put this on discussion number 7 now?
yes.
Well, I just felt that this is a huge amount of donations. It's a lot of money that's being donated by private residents. And not that I have a problem with that exactly. It's just, I think that we need to understand this and maybe we need to encourage other people and let them know that, your neighbors are stepping up and doing stuff. I don't know that people really realize that there are needs that are unmet necessarily at the, police department itself. And I kind of found the overtime for annual all department perishable skills training and fund a nutritional support program as part of their overall wellness program. I wasn't aware that that needed funding necessarily. So I wanted just to have some discussion about it.
yeah. So, I don't have an issue with the radios and I agree with the vice mayor that, if people want to donate, we have lots of needs throughout the town, not just PD. I've got an issue with the, for 5 years funding, food for the police department. I do feel that that could be then turned into, well, it's kind of like a benefit because you've been giving them to you for 5 years and what happens in 5 years when it stops. I just don't think that that's a necessary thing that we needed to have and something, I don't think I would prefer that we not accept that part of it.
Rick, did you have something you wanted to say?
I want to say that I'm deeply grateful for residents that would step forward and make significant contributions to the town. This has happened on a regular basis with the police department. It's funded our K-9 program for many different years. We found that some of these donations have been extremely creative, like helping us move forward and be the first police department on the peninsula to have a drone program. I think both of these programs are wonderful programs. I 100% support them. And I would make a motion that we approve this item number 7.
You wish to make any comments?
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
After you make
Yeah.
a motion.
Well, yeah,
make a motion.
Right.
Okay, well, we also need to see if there's any,
He has some
Public
questions and I wanted to give him a chance to.
And I have a
answer.
question.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't have any comments other than I will be happy to answer your question.
yeah, all right.
I think Stacy wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Stacy, please.
For the wellness program, I think it's great. Is this something that will be unique to Atherton, or is this a program that exists at other police departments elsewhere?
It is a program that exists at other police departments. I don't know that it's funded. I believe it might be paid by the employees. So a big part of our profession, which is a big leap from when I started a long time ago, is overall wellness for officers, not only mental health, but physical health and nutritional health. Again, in response to a recent donation, we now have a full-time wellness coordinator that we share between Atherton, Menlo Park, and East Palo Alto. I believe that's one of the first models that this company's had and one of the first ones in the state. So we're very proud of that. We just had a meeting with our vendor this morning. We have about half the department starting to participate. So again, that's, just talking about mental health is something that was never talked about in the past, nutritional health and physical health as well. Our business, just by design and the scheduling, typically officers don't make the best nutritional health choices. And those choices are very limited, especially in this area. So the intent of this donation, and it is, we discussed it with our wellness coordinator. She's very excited about it. The intent is to make sure that at least once per shift, a healthy meal, a healthy snack, and a healthy drink is provided for them.
If I can follow up on a comment that Councilmember Widmer made about the 50,000 per year. I don't find that unreasonable. I think that if you have a funding horizon, that you can do that, I think that's fine. And then what happens at the end, maybe they'll renew it or somebody else will step up, seeing that the benefit of having that. So I don't have really a lot of, I just wanted to talk about this. I think it's
Right, and
wonderful, generous.
it might help to discuss the process. So I don't go out and solicit funding, obviously. I've really, in my entire career, I've never been in this position before over the last 7 years. It's to the point where working with the commander and working with a group, I've developed a prioritized list of equipment and other ideas for funding. And so when a resident comes in and we get to that point, they're asked what we are thinking. We present the menu for them for the list, and they make the decision. This particular resident was very interested in the nutritional program, also very interested in enhancing our perishable skills training. One thing that's great about Atherton is our crime rate is very low, correct? From a police practice standpoint, our officers aren't using those skills every day like in a big city. So it is important to keep those up. So, and the design is that once a year, the entire department, half by half, would get together for that training. We do that once a year already. Unfortunately, due to some training requirements, one of those sessions every other year is taken up by first aid training, which is frustrating. We need that training, but it's also frustrating because it's an opportunity to do perishable skills. There's also a lot of value in team building morale, getting the whole department together half by half. So that was designed, and the intent of his donation is to fund an additional session for it.
What are perishable skills? Can you?
Perishable skills are defensive tactics, handcuffing, de-escalation, felony stop training that we call it. So it's all those skills. Again, if you're working in a big city or big agency, you're constantly utilizing those. Here, it's a good thing that we don't have to, but it's also a bad thing because we need to keep those up. And that's the sole intent of this training.
Yeah, so like I said, I have no issue with the first part of this, and I have no issue with the training. My issue is the $25,000 per year to, if you want to give nutrition training, that's great. If you want to tell people what's good they should have, that's, my issue is providing healthy snacks and meals and drinks to APD daily. That is my issue with this. And I think that we should be, if you all vote for it, which I'm not going to vote for this section, but if you all vote for it, then I think that you need to be very, very careful because like when we had the officers staying at the Gilmore House, when we took it away for the chief, there was a lot of issues with it. And, I just think if you're providing food, $25,000 worth of food every year, every day, then it becomes a benefit. And that's not a benefit that we offer. And so I support everything else and all the other donations we've ever gotten. I do appreciate them, but I do not support providing food to the officers. And that's my objection to this. I'm sorry that it's all bundled together, and I may have to vote no on this, which sends a bad feeling to certain people about my commitment to the police department, but I think that this should been done separately, so we can vote for it separately as opposed to being bundled. So that's my 2 cents. We don't provide free food to anywhere else, and I don't know any place, well, Google and Amazon do, but we're not an IT shop, okay? So that's my 2 cents on that. So thank you for listening.
Mayor, may I follow up with a comment about that?
You can,
Um,
yeah. Go ahead.
Former mayor, I will. and
Okay,
I
that's
ask this
great.
current mayor.
Okay.
Yes. It's hard to give it up, isn't it? But anyway, I can understand where Councilmember Whitmer is going on this about, they get used to it and then what happens in 5 years. And I did say, what happens in 5 years when it runs out and everybody's used to it. And then, does somebody else come up and fund it? Because it's hard to take something away. I mean, I have employees in my company and, we're very, very careful about doing things and giving them things on an annual basis, just because they're all going to expect it. And it's hard to take something away once you start doing it. And 5 years really is a long enough time to kind of embed it that's kind of like the norm. And about the free food, I know that we have a line item budget in our finances here for the council, for council members' dinners. And so I expect some dinners every now and then when I have to come to a 4 o'clock meeting and, I don't get dinner. So I do expect a pizza or some pasta or whatever. And if it doesn't happen, then I go, well, why didn't we get dinner? So, Anthony didn't cook dinner for us. So there is that expectation. So food is a little bit of an issue. Healthy nutrition options are critical, but it's not just food. It's like a whole nutritional support system. Is it going to be classes or is it just food?
That part is just food. The wellness coordinator takes care of, she builds nutritional plans, workout plans, mobility plans for us.
Can you explain that when we had talked before, you talked about how long the shifts are and how long the commute is? Can you explain why this is something that we might need?
It's a supplement. So the officers work 12 hours. Most of them work East Bay. So at least, an hour commute every day. So that's 14 hours plus your time to get ready. And then you're looking at 16 hours. And then you're looking at very little time to spend with your family, food prep, going out and shopping. I'm not saying that's all every day, but that's their shift during their work week. So it is a compact, long work week. Now, often that leads to, myself included, poor nutritional choices.
Do-
And if I read the staff report correctly, it says that this $25,000 a year goes to the nutritional support program. So it's not just food, it's
That's what I
also,
just
there's
asked.
some interactions, some, like you said, there's a series of different items that are part of the program.
The donation would be just food, but it coordinates with our overall wellness program, assisted by our wellness coach and
So, see,
coordinator.
that's it.
So should I call for public comment on this?
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, do we have any public comment online? Anyone in the room? No? So are we able to pull the items apart as opposed to voting on them in the block?
Yeah.
You made a motion to approve both.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
wait a minute, we've,
It hasn't had second.
Up, there's
But
someone with
you can,
their.
if you have a public comment, you can come up.
yeah. Judy Massey. Hi there.
Good evening. My name is Judy Massey, and I live at 7 Lawton Drive in Atherton. My fear is that as we are trying to encourage these wonderful donations that are large amounts of money, that we're now saying, but we want to tell you how we want your money to be spent. And I suspect that this can evolve, obviously, from one thing to another as we go through the next, I'm not sure if I heard how many years with this donation being made, $25,000 a year. It may evolve into something else that may be more workable, but I'm leery of saying, we like everything you've given us, we like all the money you've offered, but we don't want this $25,000 worth of food. We want something else to be done with it.
Mhm.
So if we're encouraging donations, I think it should be left to I'm assuming the chief and the donor have spoken about this and what was needed and what was requested and what the department might be using. So I just would caution us to remember, it's not our money, it's this donor's money. And this is obviously something that they are very interested in. And maybe we should think about just not telling them how we want them to spend their money. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
We have a motion for both.
I'll make a second. The reason I pulled this was for more discussion, and I understand it better, and so I will second Rick's motion.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call.
Yes. Councilmember Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia, Councilmember Whitmer,
I agree with everything except $25,000, and I would like to have that documented. I'll let the motion go because I don't want to turn down all the other money. But I think that $25,000 for food for 5 years is wrong. And I'd like that be on the record.
I'll include that on the record. I just want to confirm, are you voting yes?
I said I would not hold back on the other ones. So the answer is yes, with a caveat.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Lewis
Yes.
and Mayor,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, so let's now open the public hearing on items 8 through 9. Our first item is a public hearing to consider and approve a tentative map to allow 3-lot subdivision on a 6-acre parcel on 170 and 178 Atherton Ave. So do we have a report?
And we have a staff report, and is that going to be you, Brittany, or Rod Howard? Rod, I believe, is online, and she'll give the staff report.
Hi, good evening, council members. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Can't see you
Oh.
though.
Yeah.
Sorry about, thank you for accommodating my online report to the subdivision. I'd like to share screen and jump into the exhibits on the staff report so we can talk about the project. Excuse my voice only, and I'm not in good shape for video. Anthony, you'll have to let me share screen.
He's working on it.
Thank you.
That time of year for.
Yeah, like how many people are sick? I know.
I'm not sick.
Yes.
Everyone feels
Thank you for not coming, but you could turn on your video.
I'm here.
There we go. Okay, we have the screen in front of us.
Good evening, council members. Thank you so much for allowing me to present remotely. Today, we're talking about a 3-lot subdivision on 2 parcels.
The audio went out.
Oh,
I
can you
can,
hear me now?
I can hear you, so
I
it
thought
must,
Stacy's frozen as well.
well,
Oh
you
my
and I.
gosh,
are
okay.
okay.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh. Can the room hear me? No?
I
I
think
think this might
it
be.
looks like they dropped, so we'll just wait for them to rejoin.
Oh,
So
can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, it looks like the room.
Mhm.
Oops.
the text with me.
Can you see the council room? I don't see the council room at all.
No.
I can see Mona.
Okay, Radha, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm going to share screen again. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So for the subdivision today, we have two lots. The one that you see in figure 1 on the context map is 178 Atherton. This parcel is short of 2 acres. It's 8 square feet shy. And then 170 Atherton, which you see in green, is a 3.99 acre parcel. The applicant, I believe they are online and listening to this remotely and will be available for questions if at all. The applicant's request is that the council approve a new subdivision wherein both those lots that we talked about earlier is merged into one and then subdivided into 3 parcels. So that's 2 existing lots becoming 3 lots. The first lot you see is the blue in front of you. That's the flag lot going to the rear. And the lot number 2 is in yellow and lot 3 is shown in green. All the 3 lots will have their frontage along Atherton Avenue. On October 25th, the Planning Commission heard the subdivision project and they were presented with the same tentative parcel map. And attachment 3 of tonight's staff report and 5 are the exhibits that we presented to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission recommends that the City Council approve the subdivision because it conforms to all the requirements for creating new parcels in the R1A district of Atherton. And by way of creating these new parcel, we have 3 new lots. The lot number 1 and 2 are tentatively looking forward to development as soon as this parcel is approved. Lot 3 is not under process of thinking of development in the next year, is what I've been told. But at this point, we are talking only about the subdivision and the creation of these 3 lots. Staff has the council needs to make specific findings, and staff's report has the recommendation from the council for making those findings for the subdivisions that needs to be in conformity to the chapter 16, which is the subdivision chapter, and also chapter 17, which will have to be the zoning going forward. And it needs to make the findings for the size and shape and the general conformance to the town's requirement. In an R1A zone, there are specific requirements for the size and shape of every new lot. R1A lots that are going through traditional subdivision, they need to have a minimum of 175 feet by 200 feet as the design of the subdivision, and all the 3 lots conform to it. There are no variances requested from any of the lots proposed. And all the 3 lots will have proper sufficient access to public street. One of the conditions of approval from the Planning Commission's hearing till to date was that they needed to receive an approval from Menlo Park Fire, which the applicant has received, and the packet tonight has a copy of that letter. So the access road that goes all the way to the lot 1 behind has been conditionally approved, by the Menlo Park Fire District. There's also a finding that the council needs to make for the proposed map with the applicable general and specific plan goals. Staff has made some recommendations for housing goals and housing policies, and the proposed subdivision we can make findings that would meet those goals. There's also a finding where the site needs to be physically suitable for the development of the single family residential development in R1A. All the 3 lots are fairly flat, if I may. The slopes on these lots are between 1.3 to 1.9%, and they would be very much suitable for the single-family residential development. They're also urban infill lots, which is why we're um, able to review them under CEQA notice of exemptions for infill and subdivision categories. The other finding is whether the design of the subdivision is not likely to cause substantial damage or avoidable injury to fish and wildlife or their habitat. And the commission and the staff makes finding that it is not close to adjacent to that to Atherton Creek, Atherton Channel, and would not have an impact on any of the habitat. Whether the design of the subdivision or type of improvements is not likely to cause serious public health problems. At this point in time, the required parameters to create lot widths in R1A have been met per the general plan and the zoning ordinance. And we would, staff makes the finding that it would not cause any public health problems, and Planning Commission recommends that is the same finding that they can make. And going on to the last two findings is generally speaking with subdivisions, if there are any types of easements or any conflicts with subdivisions or alternative easements, those need to be revealed and sorted out before a new tentative map is formed. And staff worked with the engineers or the applicant's engineers, and our public works director has made sufficient reviews going back and forth with the applicants to make sure that all of the design parameters regarding easements or any other kind is sorted off, and there is no conflict at this point when we present it to you. And any discharge of waste of the proposed subdivision will not result in the violation of the existing water quality requirements prescribed by the Regional Water Quality Board. One of the conditions of approval on any subdivision parcel coming into Atherton is that they have, in fact, I think this applies to any development also, is that they need to meet the regional quality requirements at the time of development. And this is one of the conditions of approval on this tentative map, and it is listed in the certificate attached with this report. And with that, I want to conclude that I request that the council consider this map and approve it, and based on the findings. And also this map is subject to the conditions of approval, and would also approve a notice of exemption for CEQA. And I'm concluding my presentation right now. I will stop sharing, and I'm open to answer any questions that the council might have.
Does the council have any questions for the staff?
No.
Stacy? Stacy?
I do.
Oh,
No.
Elizabeth, please.
Okay. So, hi there. Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate you being here, even though you're not feeling well. A couple of questions. Are all 3 lots owned by the same owner?
Yes, in fact, the original lots are owned by the same owner. The applicant's name on file is Louisa Ritter, and the applicant's, I think the name of the owner is Green Acres LLC, as listed in the Planning Commission report. It's the same owner.
Okay. So lot number 1, to qualify for the 1 acre measurement, you calculate the long driveway?
The lot number 1 will have to reorient their front setback along the driveway. Let me share my screen. That comes via a lot line redesignation, which the Planning Commission has approved. So lot 1, as you can see the way it's oriented, this lot line is shorter, is 185 on this end, and it is a longer dimension. There's 205. I'm sorry. This is 205, and this is 189.36. And the requirement is 175 by 200. They have to orient their house towards this lot 3's frontage, and that's done through a lot line redesignation. And per our code, lot line designations are approvable by the Planning Commission, and they have given this redesignation and approval. So what you are reviewing now is the redesignated lot as proposed lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3. Does that
Right.
answer your question?
Not really,
Sorry.
but I do understand, I think, that the big green parcel, the three acre plus lot,
Uh-huh.
a portion had to be taken from that one to add to the lot 1 and lot 2, the proposed conceptual houses, in order to make them conforming
That's right.
with the, and so that, so now the big 3 acre plus is less than 4 acres. And what happens if somebody wants to develop 4 houses there? I mean, that would be hard to do, I think, but that's not my question.
That's
I
not the
would-
issue.
My question is that the conceptual house on what proposed lot 1, if you didn't have the big long driveway, that square does not equal a whole acre, but the driveway itself actually adds up to make it the acre lot, correct?
That would be right. 1 second. It would be let me just do this, 5.16 times.
That is correct. Okay, I was just
correct.
clarifying because
correct.
that makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yes.
So those are my only two. I mean, I think the plan and the presentation has been really well thought out. I mean, all the boxes have been checked. It's a really well-designed play, and to get to have, it's smart to, take a little bit of that big 3 acre spot to make 2 1 acre conforming lots. So
The reason why they had to shift that line a little bit was that lot 2 and lot 1 was shy of 8 square feet. So
Right.
they're literally moving that line by a bit. But in theory, what you're reviewing is a brand new map.
Yeah.
You're just taking these 2 separate lots, it's merged, and they're just subdivided again into 3 lots. Actually, at this point, lot 3 is fulfilling the acre requirement. And that's what chapter 16 of our zoning code is asking us to do. It says for 1 acre lots for slopes less than a certain percentage, it has to meet 175 by 200 as dimensions. And that's pretty much it. It meets all the lots are conforming, and that's what the table is talking about.
Do we have any more questions for the staff? Is there an applicant presentation?
I believe I know that the engineer from the applicant side wanted to be available for a presentation. I do see Louisa Ritter's iPhone on the chat. I'm not sure who's going to present or talk or be available. Oh, there he is. I can see him walking.
There you are. Okay.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jim Toby with Liam Braze Engineering, and I'm a civil engineer who designed this project in front of you today. I don't have a whole long presentation. I just want to kind of give a little summary, as you guys have been hearing from Radha, in terms of what the design came out to be. It is sort of a weird configuration that we have here. This lot, when it was originally created, was intended to be 2 acres minimum. But at the time we did the topographic survey and did all the boundary resolution and everything, we realized it was actually 8 feet short. So it was, but this is a survey error that happened when the parcels were created back 80 years ago or whenever it was. And thus we have to move that property line between lots 1, 2, and 3 by ½ inch. It's a very, very small amount. It's trivial, but to meet the minimum zoning codes, that's how we ended up in that situation we did today. So other than that, as Radha has told you, we worked hard with staff to meet every possible code we can make sure we're meeting. We've worked with fire, we've worked with engineering. We're going to be providing some improvements along the street frontage and everything. So I think this is as straightforward as you can possibly get for a pretty simple subdivision here. So, but with that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
About the
Mine were
public.
answered.
How about the public?
And is there any public comments or questions?
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth?
Good evening, I'm Mary Widmer, 158 Glenwood Avenue. When I looked at the drawings, I've just seen them now. I'm wondering, there's no markings for trees that I can identify. And you've got, I outlines of homes, and I'm wondering if there are heritage trees that you might be inadvertently condemning by letting this division happen. And has anybody looked at the trees that are on the lots?
Sure, I can answer that question. Thank you for the question. Every tentative map goes through Town Operator Sally's review, and she has provided extensive review and oversight into this subdivision itself, and has provided conditions of approval requiring the parcel to adhere to all the provisions of the heritage tree ordinance of the town of Atherton. And she reviews not just the final version that you see. She's one of the reviewers when we get the tentative map in the first place. So she's closely working with the applicants and providing comments with every iteration that comes our way.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
There.
here, I guess. Do we have any discussion? Yes, Rick?
Move approval.
A second.
Okay. Take roll call on that.
Councilmember Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia, Councilmember Whitmer.
Yep.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just for clarification, that was moving the staff recommendation to include the notice of exemption.
And so this closed out the public hearing.
Thank you.
Next item.
And all right, so that closes out one, and we're going to reopen public hearing for item number 9, which is waiving the first reading and introduce ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 6.04 animal control. And I believe we have a report on that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hawkins Manueli, and I'll take that one on. The town of Atherton currently has codified an animal keeping ordinance at chapter 6.04 of the municipal code. What's before you today is the intention to rescind that ordinance and replace it with this one. The proposed changes to the ordinance are a reflection of a stakeholder committee that has worked with the county. The town of Atherton is one of many cities in the county that contract for animal keeping services with the county. And after many years of providing this service, have offered suggestions for a couple purposes. Number one, to add greater clarity to the ordinance, but also to help promote some efficiencies in servicing the various communities. There's a couple of other changes in here that are bulleted in the staff report, but I'll very quickly identify them. The definitions have been updated, particularly with respect to dangerous and vicious animals. There's additional language that clarifies the distinction between dangerous versus vicious. Dangerous animals do need a specific permit, and there is a right for owners of such animals to petition after 3 years of zero incident to have their animal taken off of the dangerous animal list. It lowers the rabies vaccination age, which just conforms with existing state law. Again, the ordinance requires all owners of animals to license their pets and to ensure that there is active rabies vaccination, whether that's the 1 year or 3 years for their pets. It updates language and enforcement regarding vicious animals. There's appeal processes as well. It updates language and enforcement regarding who may stay at the home if there is a dangerous animal. Previously, the existing ordinance precludes anyone under the age of 18 from residing in a home in which there's an animal that's been declared to be dangerous, and that is no longer the case. And the fee schedule has also been updated to reflect a more realistic expectation of the costs. The county's request is that the ordinance be presented as proposed with minimal to no changes. The reason for that is because, again, we're contracting for this service, and we would like to ensure that the program manager, the animal control officers have a shared understanding across all jurisdictions with respect to how to actually implement and enforce this. We do have someone from the county as well if you have more specific questions about this and providing that service, but I'm available to answer further questions. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
I don't have
have a
any
question.
questions.
I don't have questions. I've got comments.
Stacy, you have a question?
Yeah, how does this ordinance, I know Atherton, there, some residents have guard dogs. So how does guard dogs relate to this ordinance?
So this would also be applicable to guard dogs. There are some exceptions for service animals as well as canines through the police department and other government agencies, but guard dogs are in fact subject to this.
Okay. So someone who has a guard dog, would that be qualified as a dangerous dog and then they couldn't
No,
have children?
no.
Okay.
Right, dangerous animal, there's very specific requirements. For example, if they have bitten another animal or a person, there's findings that have to be made. So just because just because someone has a guard dog does not presume that that animal is considered dangerous or vicious.
Okay.
Can I follow up on her question? So if someone then comes onto that property and is bitten by that dog, then they would be considered a dangerous animal?
Great question. So there are also further exemptions that have the officer determine whether the animal has been provoked or whether there's mitigating circumstances to demonstrate why there may have been a bite or an attack. And so in that particular instance, depending on the specific facts of the case, it may not be that the dog is dangerous or vicious.
Any more questions, anyone?
I got a comment later.
Any public, call for public? No? All right, comments?
Okay, I've spoken with Mona and George on this, and I understand their issue and response with me with regards to, a group of lawyers got together and drafted this thing up and they don't want any changes. Got that. I've got three key issues here, and as opposed to going through the document, which I can do if you would like, but I don't want to waste everybody's time since George hoped that we were going to get done by 6.
Yeah, it's party.
Is 3. One is dogs can be provoked, and I understand the officer can come over and determine that. I'm in the park with my dog and my wife as well. And people in the park with unleashed dogs or dogs on a leash without an owner holding onto that leash, come over and, try and attack my dog. And so, if you're being attacked, you do respond. And I think that provoking is a key thing here. And one of the comments I got back was, well, if it was determined that your dog was dangerous, then you can go pay $100 to go ahead and then make an appeal. I don't think you should have to pay $100 to make an appeal. I don't think if something is provoked, period, at the end, then there's not a violation if there is a response. So secondly, I briefly mentioned the leash. We have on signs in our park that say the leashes, all dogs must be on a leash. And then it adds, held by a competent owner or a competent person. I don't care I'd prefer it not be, for example, a 5-year-old, as somebody wrote back to me, but I can understand maybe that 5-year-old was a power lifter or maybe a black belt in karate. But that's not the normal case of little kids holding leashes of big dogs. So I think that needs to be in there. And then let me find the other one. I forgot my other issue. Sorry about that. Oh yeah. And then if a person that gets to this guard dog thing, if a person enters onto the property and the dog charges or barks, it says, there's a thing for excessive barking. Well, there are people, for example, at my house There's this one individual runs up and down the fence line, getting my dogs to go wild, okay? And plus the high schoolers walking by, you know, trying to get the dogs to bark and get them all excited and things like that. That's provocation. You know, those things should be exempted. So if somebody comes on the property and my dog charges at them and barks at them, that shouldn't be, as a dangerous or a vicious animal. And I shouldn't have to go through any extra steps or pay any extra money to go ahead and get an exemption. I really feel like, and as I said, I think provocation, control of a competent person, and those type of issues need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed here if I'm going to vote for this, because I don't think it's right. You know, for example, it says the owner or provision or of a dog shall cause or allow to cause any dog to bite or physically threaten or harass a person. What happens if those persons are harassing the dog? So anyway, getting a letter back saying, well, you know, 7 lawyers from the area got together and crafted this, and so we prefer you not make any changes. That's not an adequate response from me. I really feel it doesn't match what we do today, and I feel that this thing needs a few minor changes. And I don't think people should have to go pay $100 to go and say, wait a second, you guys didn't understand. Because of the fact that, you know, it didn't happen this way. Oh yeah, there was one other thing. Sorry, I forgot. It says, you know, whether or not you take the dog to the vet, you know, you can say, well, you know, this dog bit my dog, but I didn't take him to the vet because I could handle it. So I don't have any documentation to prove that that really happened, but I want you to go claim somebody's dog be in violation of this. I really feel that this needs a little bit of extra work. I don't know whether or not any of the lawyers on this editing process have any dogs. I don't think anybody else on the council has a dog and takes them to the park every day and has dogs unleashed, you know, running after your dog and biting them. I just think there needs to be some work here. If you all want to say, oh, well, you know what, we'll fix it in the next round, I think that that's the wrong way to go. So you can either have me vote for it or I'll vote for a delay, but I'm not going to vote for this as it stands today based on the responses that I've gotten, which were very unsatisfactory. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments?
I can respond to a few of those questions.
Okay.
So Councilmember Whitmer, first of all, lawyers are never wrong. So I'm kidding. But I do.
Okay, well, then I'm
kidding,
done.
kidding,
I'm
I'm
done.
kidding.
Thank you very much.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I do have some responses that might be helpful in
Yeah.
appeasing what your concerns are because they're very valid. With example, you have stated that a dog may be provoked, that there could be someone who's running up and down a property line fence and basically creating a potential attack from happening. So the ordinance does account for that. If you'd like to follow along on section 6.04.130, section C, there's some categories that the officer will be reviewing to determine whether any of those factors actually existed that would then warrant the animal being considered vicious or dangerous as example. So I'm going to read a couple of them. Number 1, whether there was provocation, tormentation, teasing, abuse, assault, or similar activity causing or contributing to the alleged behavior by the animal. Secondly, whether there was whether the person committed a willful trespass or other tort upon the private property.
Yeah, I've read all those, Mona. And your response to me was to get an exemption and get it put it off, I have to go pay $100 and do an appeal,
No.
which is a very unsatisfactory response that you gave me.
So that would only happen if there's an active determination that the animal is dangerous or vicious. But the officer takes that information.
Hey, Anthony, I think you guys are frozen. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I think they are frozen as well.
Okay.
So I can understand, I can hear and feel Councilmember Widmer's frustration about this. However, I would like to make a motion to waive the first reading and approve the introduction of the ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 6.04 of the animal control thing. I would recommend that Councilmember Widmer summarize all of his comments into a memo and put it on file and send it to the city attorney and be on record and let that continue to be discussed. But at this point in time, I'd like to make the motion to move on.
Can I also just let you know Lori is from the county who's online and she would like to make some comments.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you guys know that you guys froze for a while, so we didn't hear the last like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
We paused for you.
It's okay.
Okay.
So did you want to share some points?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. I do apologize. I have a cold as well. I do want to make some clarifying points for you. Not only were there 7 attorneys, but there were several subject matter experts involved in this committee. We took several years to analyze the ordinance. We looked at multiple jurisdictions' ordinances before we crafted this ordinance. I myself have been in the business of animal control for 40 years and actually have enforced the laws within our county. The comment about provocation or trespassing, just as you trust your police department, we have to trust in the investigations done by the Peninsula Humane Society and SPCA. They take every case, they look at all of the evidence, the witness statements, they talk to not only the victim, but the dog owner to determine if a dog is vicious or dangerous before they designate that dog. If at the time of a hearing, more evidence is brought forth that a dog was provoked, the hearing officer uses that as a mitigating factor to not deem the dog dangerous. So those items are currently what is in your ordinance today, those mitigating factors. So we haven't changed the mitigating factors. The comment about the control of the leash or chain is actually in the ordinance. It states the animal is controlled. The entire committee of 11 people agreed that the word controlled is when a human is controlling that animal. So if a dog is dragging a leash behind it with no person, that is not control, and they are in violation of the law. The one thing we have changed is your actual comment, council member, where you said if you're in the park with your dog and another dog charges across and attacks your animal, then a dangerous animal can be pursued. This is a fair process. We took lots of time and effort to put into this ordinance. That's why it took so long. So I hope that you do elect to pass this ordinance, and I encourage you, if you have any other questions, to please contact me. I can tell you and explain the entire process, but I can guarantee that all of the items have been covered that you are raising. Thank you very much.
Thanks for clarifying, Rick.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, let's take a vote.
Holland,
Yes.
Councilmember DeGolia,
Yeah.
Councilmember Widmer,
Nope.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
and Mayor Hawkins Manuelian.
Yes.
Thank you.
So is this everything? I think
it.
this
That's it.
concludes, and I'd like to
Gavel it out.
Move to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
And
Second.
party.
Yeah, there's a party, so let's all go to the party now.
Sorry you can't come, Stacy.
Oh, we got.
Yeah.
Have fun.
And if you could all come